good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Zwift Community Live broadcast of the KISS Community League race number 3 out on the Innsbruck Ring. I know we should be live right now over on Twitch, YouTube, as well as Mixer, but there seems to be an issue with the Facebook API at the moment. Everything is set up correctly. Hopefully, if you guys can let people know out in the chat, I will work on it myself. Nathan is solo on all broadcast productions today, so if I can get things working over on Facebook as fast as I possibly can, we will do so. I show it live over there, but it is not showing live in the post for some odd reason. Like literally showing it live on the editing side of the post, but it is not live on the actual live post for some odd reason. No idea why. Once in a while, Facebook as a social media platform doesn't always perform super awesome as a streaming platform. No offense, Facebook, but maybe get it right. All right, guys. So we are on our way to race number 3, and we have, it looks to be 1 minute and 22 seconds to the start with 346 riders, 347 riders now in the pens for the Opens race. On the women's side of things, it looks to be about 38 racers jumping in as well with about a minute to go. It's going to be 4 laps, just like we saw in both the women's and the men's KISS Super League. So it should be fast and furious. Now, some updates. There are some updates in the game that just dropped. Obviously, the drop shop is a big one, but there was a big one for racing that came down the pipeline with the power-ups not being allowed into the pens. You are not able to go out and collect the power-ups for a pre-race power-up. So what happens there is if you go out and grab a power-up and you jump into the pens for your race, boom, it's gone. So that is going to open up all kinds of tactics because there's a lot more. What's the word going to be there for the RNG? There's a lot more random numbers games, a lot more gamification, a lot more rolling of the dice, and it makes racers who do not have a power-up have to attack a lot more often heading into the final moments out on course. So I think that's going to really, really open up a lot of tactics because of this. Almost 400 racers jumping in. Let's get into things here as we do see up ahead, as it is the orange numbers as usual. We're going to take a look at the start list here in just a moment and figure out who's all in this game. But first of all, we're going to have to move our way forward to find the front of this race. It does look like we have some crazy power numbers here right from the get-go at the start here. Obviously, the usual 8 watts per kilogram, 9, 10 watts per kilogram. It does look like an orange bike on the front. I wouldn't be surprised if that is a BRT racer in the open / what tends to be the men's race. Let's go ahead and take a look at that real quickly as we head into the opening meters here out on course. And it looks to be Ella Dix here from Rowan King, actually. We'll keep an eye on this rider. Not super familiar, actually, with Dixon recent racing here, actually. We do have Lionel Viosen there also as well. One of the strongest riders we've seen in the KISS Super League, as well as the Zwift All-Stars rider. Moving forward, though, and now obviously riding, though, in the Community League, will be riding for ZCC, Canyon ZCC, the recently launched elite / semi-professional team for Zwift racing specifically. Leading things out, though, from the get-go, will be Klassen here now at 160 beats per minute rear. Now Team Poland heading to the front there. It does look like we've got Pritchard here. Chris Pritchard most likely streaming live right now, riding for the Wahoo Cycling Hub team. Be watching out for him. Wonder if he's going to be able to hang on in this race here over the top of the leg snapper. Obviously, each lap, that is going to be the crucial point out on course. Leg snapper without any kind of sprint, though, that they're going to be battling for any podiums on. Obviously, in the KISS Super League, we did see the sprints as something that were highly contested. It looks like today, though, obviously, it's not going to be all about the sprint competition. It's going to be all about the W out there today, and the leg snapper is the place that's going to be making that happen. Interesting to see all of the new drop shop, the drop shop that did open up maybe for some of these riders. This is going to be a setup or Zwiftcraft new thing that we're going to start seeing a lot more with Zwiftcraft, as I think we're going to start calling it. We'll do a show tomorrow, I believe, with Greg Leo about some of the latest updates, and we'll be talking a lot about the new shop and how it might open up new Zwiftcraft ideas. What are the best setups for each one of the riders? how riders are going to start trying to manipulate for the fastest setup that they can find out there, and how they're going to be looking to get as many drops as they possibly can. For those of you unfamiliar with what the drop shop is all about, the newly released drop shop, you gain drops in game through sweat, essentially through out there and sweating, out there putting the work out on Zwift, and as you do, you collect more and more drops. Those drops can be spent in the new drop shop in order to get gear, and they did open up what used to be only available. One of the highlights of that will be that it did open up the the Zip full disc 808s, as you do see on the rider here in front of us. So I think that most definitely is going to be one of the wheels that everybody's going to be looking for. And I am not used to seeing this many Zip 808s full disc in the races. So I have a feeling that some of these racers have already taken advantage of that new update and have jumped on to those full disc 808s. And we're getting a little bit of chatter about that over in the Twitch channel as well as the YouTube. It looks like we're going to have to let go of the Facebook post. Sorry, you guys. It looks like for some odd reason it is not going to be updating for us. I'll try and work on it without during some of the more chill points of the race. We might be able to take a look at it here in just a moment while we wait for the first time over the leg snapper. But looking through some of the ladies that have showed up on the day, we've got 43 in the pack here. Hubach there toward the front end, one of the Zwift All-Stars here making her way to the front. It looks like, as well as Vicky Whitelaw riding for the Outstars. We do see Reed here from the KRT team as well. KRT super dominant so far in this community league, and I'd be watching out for them to try and take down the W here today. We did see a huge contingent of the KRT team in both of the first two community races, so I'd be watching out for them on that leg snap to follow things up. It looks like Rachel Elliott making a showing again out here today. Reed's there as well. We're seeing C. Scott from Sun R as well. El Brewer there from Fearless, though. Fearless very, very involved, though, today. Team Fearless, the women's team, looks to have quite a few of those yellow jerseys out there. 1, 2, 3. Malou's out there as well as Brewer. I believe we may also be seeing Brewer, Malou, and one other rider I'm not quite able to catch the name of there. But watch out for Team Fearless to try and perhaps take a few points in the community league here, as I think they're looking to maybe try and take down KRT. Canyon's out there as well. We're seeing Falk, as you can see, the Canyon ZCC team, as well as Denning out there for Vision. See if Denning is a climber, maybe be able to hang on over the top of that leg snapper against some of these top-tier women here. But Hubach and Hansen for Innovation up toward the front. They did break away in the first week of the KISS Community League. I'd be watching out for them to maybe try and make something happen over the top of this first climb over the leg snapper. Back in with the open/men's racing here, we still have plenty of riders in this lead group. We can get an idea of where things have broken apart in just a moment here amongst them, as it looks like we have at least 100 riders that have made this lead group right now. Diner from Canyon there as well. Looks like Canyon's shown up with quite a few of their top riders. Alex West is out there. The Austins is out there as well. We did see Philip Diner. We've seen a lot of posts actually from the new Canyon ZCC team. Definitely throw them a follow out on the socials, as they're chatting a lot and putting a lot of posts out there about the newly formed team. And it's really cool to see Canyon stepping up and making some of the first moves into this esports world amongst the community. A lot of the esports that we do see out there that have developed, CSGO, Dota, as well as League of Legends, they all started as community things first and foremost. The biggest prize pool out there currently with the Dota International was a community prize pool up first and foremost up front, and slowly developed out from there to be one of the biggest esports of all time. So, seeing Canyon step up as a supporter of this community growth, and seeing this team supported the way they are to bring its own cyclists, its own professionals up through the ranks in a grassroots type way, is really cool to see Canyon get behind that. And soon we'll see the mixture of that community. I think we already do see the mixture of that community, actually, with the All-Stars and the Zwift Academy Dream Team, mixing it up with the pros that are racing properly out on the road right now. Speaking of pros out on the road, Dan Fleeman from Deep Deep Coaching, one of the ex-pros who's now taking up Zwift racing a whole lot now. from the comfort of his living room, it looks like. And Dig Deep Coaching now trying to make an attack. Does have a 2-second gap now. Dempster there as well from Draft, following it up very closely. Does have a solid sprint. West here, one of the winningest community members out in the world of Zwift here, coming from New Zealand. The Kiwi trying to hang on, it looks like, to the Poison Dart. The Dart, who did make things happen initially over the Leg Snapper, pushes up to 187. We'll see if they can bring him back here. Rich from ZWC closes it down. Quite the pack now all starts to come together behind him. Don't think this is going to be going much of anywhere just yet as we look at this pack here. Trying to bring this back now. It will be closed right on down. The break is brought back, but looking here just a little ways behind, we are seeing a little bit of a distance between we'll see Pacheco here as well as Vickers. Vickers there leading the chase out there. Up and out of the saddle will be the Vikings rider here in the blue and black. Ooh, coming out of Norway, closing things down. Going to drag that chase group there with the Vision rider Amato as well as Jay Phillips there from the Canyon team. Phillips a solid sprinter, but it looks like maybe resting up a little bit and trusting that this would all come back together and it wasn't going to go anywhere. Never it's usually not the best idea, though, to trust that it's going to be coming back when the Poison Dart is off the front. The attack's now up and over the top of the Leg Snapper for the women's side of things. Eklund and Whitelaw were the ones leading things out, but now it's going to be Hubach there as well toward the front, the ex-Danish national champion. I'm not sure if she repeated this past year. We do not have the official results out from Zwift just yet, but it looks like Falconer from Canyon able to make this kick. And without any of the bigger climbs that we saw in the first 2 weeks of racing, I have a feeling that we may see things stick together a little bit longer out here today. It may give a few more ladies some opportunity to try and take down the W here today, especially with the sprints. Regan Mortal there from the Canyon ZCT team making it, as well as Eklund. So Canyon ZCT and Falk, 3 riders from Canyon ZCC all involved in this initial break. It is a 10-second gap, though. Back to Brewer with the Fearless team, as well as Pohl here from KRT, Jansen from KRT as well, Angmo from the PTZ team off the back, Reed now too. So it looks like a little bit more of a little bit higher power, or maybe the Leg Snapper maybe just being too much of a full-on 1 to 2 minute attack up on the top there. So you've got those much punchier efforts here today over the Leg Snapper. The efforts that we saw on the last 2 courses, I think, were a little bit longer on the climbs, maybe a little bit more of a threshold effort, not quite as punchy. That's showing who does have the full-on punchy climbs, VO2 max type efforts to throw down. And it is showing to be Hole here trying to chase things down for Vision, but Hansen, as well as Claudia Baring there, Buchholz is there as well. It looks like Hubach, Elliott there, Rachel Elliott, obviously one of the strongest riders we've ever seen. I think the form is going to be coming along for Rachel Elliott as well. Perhaps this week we'll see if she can throw down for a W. She hasn't seen one in quite a while, but she was still able to take a top 10, I believe, in the UK Nationals, as well as, I believe, the first week of the KCL. So Rachel Elliott, again, out here, form coming along every week, it looks like. Now we're looking at Moin Moin, though, as Rachel jumps onto her wheel. Now, actually, a Aero power-up here, coming from one of the Hellcats here, BRT, with Momsen. Not super familiar with Momsen as of recently. And is this rider going to be one of the dark horses out here today? If anybody in chat doesn't know who this is, let us know. But this BRT rider now might be a threat out there. But using up that Aero power-up, perhaps not so much, as that a lot of times is a sign that there is not a whole lot left in the legs out there. So we are seeing all the chat going on over at Twitch. I am also following up with the chat over on the YouTube. And it does look like the Facebook has gone live. I am seeing the winningness. That is Rod Leach. That is a word. That is a word, Rod. I've heard that word plenty of times in commentary, Rod. All right. So it does look like we have gotten live over. I have no idea what happened there, but it does look like people are commenting on the Facebook post. So that's telling us that the Facebook post is most definitely live, it looks like. So Messineo is pushing the pace. Aaron is saying that now. See, we can see all of your chat coming through. So if you are on YouTube, as you can see, thanks a lot, Eric. If you are hanging out over on Twitch, we are here as well, as we are seeing Nike DNT. And as you can see on Facebook, Greg Leo, instead of being here on the broadcast, says that he is laying in bed drinking chicken broth at the moment and experiencing debilitating FOMO, because he cannot show you all his beautiful hairspray on this day. I'm not sure what his not exactly sure what his sponsor is for bedtime hairspray, but we'll have to wait and see what he has to let us know. Maybe he could show us a Facebook post on his story all about the hairspray and the chicken broth. But everybody wish Greg Leo a get well, as he is very sick with the flu, and just glad to see him hanging out in the chat right now. So back in with the men's race. It is fairly calm at this point. Messineo has been on the attack a little bit here, continues to make little jumps here, and it's gone out to 4 seconds, but with such a large group behind here, I believe, this is going to be brought back on the leg snapper, unless Messineo can just continue to attack like this and then end up with enough of a gap that it doesn't matter so much that he's put down so much power, used so much energy, that perhaps if he can hold an 8 watts per kilogram or more with a 20-second gap, this may be a TT off the front as they head into their second lap here. Back in with the women's race, though, let's go ahead and see how things are happening as they make their way into their second lap right now. Looking at 7th place right now with the BRT rider. The BRT team, if you're unfamiliar with them, they do use that power tap kit, as you do see the BRT Hellcats rider here, Momsen. And a lot of times they do jump into the Tron bike with the orange wheels, but the Cervelo S5 seems to be the thing here with the Zip 808s for Momsen now. It is going to be just a little bit behind here. Another rider here is going to be Hamilton. So BRT has shown up on the day to try and take a couple of the spots in this top group. I believe we do have about it looked like about 16 riders in this lead group, so 2 of them being with BRT. They do have some matches to burn here, a couple of riders to work with to try and perhaps make some tactics go down, but it looks like Fearless has brought a couple into this lead group as well with 2. They did have 1 fall off. I do believe it was not Brewer. There was one other rider there from the Fearless team, unable to make this front group at this point and is off the back in the chase here, but at least 2 of them have made the lead group now here. When commentary is shown just as much as the race, it makes me want to exit. I'm sorry about that, Jorgen. It's a race that we're interested in. I appreciate the comment there. But we're looking through here. We have quite a few comments coming on in to into the broadcast here. We've got a few more here. Yep, Mango, thanks a lot. I appreciate the comments there as well for Greg, as hopefully he's going to be feeling better real soon. Back in with the men's race here, though, and when it's a little bit calmer, though, a lot of times you do have to have some background chatter here, Jorgen, but I will try and work on it there for you for sure, buddy. So moving forward here with Dan Fleeman now, 6.1 watts per kilogram. Hani here now as well. Soren Bay from Denmark now, 153 beats per minute. Jay White now from Cryogen. And it looks like Dempster here now trying to make the chase. So it looks like Messineo now at 5.5 with a solid break. Absolutely killing it now. 10 watts per kilogram as they head into the leg snapper in just a moment here. And is he going to be able to hold on to that? That's going to be interesting to see. I mean, this is a brave attack, but he's up into 188 beats per minute. I'm going to take a look here real quick and see where things are at when it comes to the kind of power that he can put down, or at least heart rate that he can put down for a threshold type effort here. So I'm seeing Adam Zimmerman is in the race here, but I haven't seen him out on course too much just as of yet. It is still a huge group, though, at the front end of this race. As I look through SwiftPower.com for a little bit of information, we do still have 67 riders here toward the front end of this here, but I wonder if the former U.S. national champion, he is in there still riding for draft, it looks like. He's put about 4.7 watts per kilogram. Leandro, though, 6.3 average so far, and we are, it looks like, about 16 minutes in. That is an insane level of power at this point. There's only a 3-second gap, though, and there's maybe just a little bit too much effort being put out so far. We're seeing 186 beats per minute so far for Leandro Messineo, the dart here off the front. And looking at his threshold heart rate, as far as what he can usually hold for the duration of a threshold type effort here, it's right around the 170, like mid 170s to high 170s. So I have a feeling this might have been a little bit too much for Messineo to be able to hold on, perhaps as they make their way through the final, through the leg snapper, and maybe on the other side of it. If there's any attacks or continuance here, this is an opportunity here for some of the riders to really put Messineo maybe on the back foot, but they're going to have to attack him full on. And Fleeman's doing just that. Dan Fleeman on the front end of this pack right now, up to 185 beats per minute right now, and 700 watts. We did see him able to kick into the 12 watts per kilogram, and gets that gap here. Messineo sitting on at 10 watts per kilogram, able to hold on, it looks like, to the wheels of Dahan from Dutch Racing as well as Dempster. Will they be able to chase that down? I think that is going to be the case. I believe Fleeman really trying to get somebody, instigate something out of the pack with the level of Alex West from Canyon, as well as Dempster in there, Hansen from Fusion as well. You know, there and then obviously the Poison Dart, Florog being the one everybody's looking at out there. I believe what they're going to need to do in this situation is send one or two off the front and try and catch him out, or at least get him involved in an attack alongside of them and then attack him over and over and over again. That is going to have to be the tactic here if they're going to try and drop him off. Diner does see that, it looks like, from the Canyon ZCC team, up into that 180 beats per minute right now with a 500-watt attack now. The German rider absolutely trying to counter. And it looks like only a 1 second gap, though, on that downhill. Going to be very difficult on that section of the course to try and make anything happen. It's a valiant attack, but the kind of speeds that we are seeing out here are just not going to allow for it to go much of anywhere. This looks like Jay White from the new Cryogen team out here, making a little bit of a counter, but only at 4.7 watts per kilogram. It's not going to go too much of anywhere as the riders are just sitting right onto the wheel of the Cryogen here at this point. Vickers there holding on with the Watt Bike kit coming on through. Kuzwonis from Team Poland is there as well, all in the top 10. People are trying to find their spots. They've made it through the leg snapper now. This is the main pack. Has anybody fallen off at this point is going to be the question. As we look through over at ZwiftPower.com, I am going to see that between the riders now, it does look like there is another gap that has opened up for a few of them. It is about 4 seconds back, it looks like, to Casper Norden as well as Ingo Reichert. Another 6 seconds back to Sandbike and a few others. I'd be surprised if a group containing Sandbike does not come back, though, as usually that is a rider that is not going to be dropped off here. We are seeing, it looks like, at the back here, Naher as well as Van Leetham, Majewski here, Pacheco there, all off the back. But a lot of the favorites seem to have been able to grab back on after those initial attacks. So we do have, it looks to be about 53 riders with Collins here. U17 rider, looks like, out of the UK. Cool to see that in the name there. Young in here making his way in and amongst some of the fastest riders. They finish up their second lap. Back in with the women's racing, though, as they do start the leg snapper for the second time. At the front, it is going to be Hansen again from the Innovation team. 174 beats per minute, 408 watts right now. Hamilton followed it up. There's Hamilton from the BRT. We were talking about the Built Racing team. They haven't been showing up that much before the Community League launch, but it looks like they have an interest this week as BRT in the orange and white and orange Tron bike kit here. Jay Hamilton from the Hellcats, BRT, Kiwi here out of New Zealand, obviously, killing it on the front here. And she has a 1 second gap over the Canyon ZCC team. And Eklund here trying to close it down. Will she be able to do so? And looks like Momsen out there as well. And the teammate of the BRT Hellcats rider who just sitting in and getting a free ride a little bit as they try and chase this down. Does there have any continuance, though? It hasn't broken anything apart. It does look like it has just a little bit, as it's going to be Reagan Mortal here from Canyon ZCT. Rachel Elliott just trying to hang on and close that gaps right on down. And then it is going to be Falk from Canyon there, too. Malou, though, from Fearless as well as Brewer. They're going to have to get together here. There's a 3 second gap back to Brewer. She's going to have to soft pedal a little bit now to work together, or say, that's enough. I just got to kick and put the speed into the wheels to get back on terms with Moyne and the back of that breakaway. But I don't think that's going to happen. So it's going to have to be a concerted effort between the two riders to push into that 4, 5, even 6 watts per kilogram to chase this down. It's still doable at only 5 seconds. On this downhill, though, the group is working well together. It is kind of strung out. And as that elastic starts to snap, you know that the riders on the front are pushing the pace, and these riders are just looking for the wheel in front of them. Hamilton looking to suffer a little bit, though, as she made the initial attacks and then needed to find the wheels again as the group came flying up to her with that speed that you do have on a downhill in a pack, just like in real life here. Bearing here now from the All-Stars on the front. Bearing with a few spots of bad luck recently, it looks like, out on Zwift. I think she's really going to be motivated for a win. It's been a while since we've seen her on the podium in any of the broadcast races. So it's good to see Claudia Behring out here for the All-Stars. We'll see if she is able to throw down for the W out here today. She was looking really good over the weekend for a repeat of the Zwift U.S. National Championship, but had a dropout during the race. She's probably cringing at me just a little bit, Nathan, because that's not a memory she really probably wants to relive. But it was, the mechanicals happen in real life as well as out on Zwift once in a while, and it was too bad to see as she did make the lead group. It was coming into some of the final laps and just nothing, or some of the final Ks, and just a ring of bad luck for her. So we'll see if Behring here can get a little bit of revenge against that, a little bit of a result out here today, and take down a podium. She would definitely be a favorite out here today if she continues to make these league group, and obviously is going to have a ton of form as she is racing in the KISS Super League as well as over the weekend looking to repeat on that U.S. National Championships. She could take that form most likely in this community league here and throw down for a W perhaps up against some of the other fastest women here that we've ever seen out on Zwift. So the break has taken place now for the women's race, and it is going to be your top 11 that we're currently looking at as they make their way into lap number 3. Louise Hubach riding for Innovation. Vicky Whitelaw is in there as well as Cecilia Hansen. So 3 Innovation riders there. We are seeing Kristen Falk as well riding for Canyon ZCC. Eva Catherine Buchholz for Canyon ZCT. Laura Van Regenvoto. And it is also going to be Natalie Eklund. So all 4 riders there from the Canyon ZCC team showing up and have made the lead group. So Canyon ZCC with a lot of opportunity to play some tactics and cat and mouse going into the last 2 laps. Rachel Elliott, the solo KRT rider out there. But if anybody can get away, if the form is there, Rachel Elliott can TT away from the rest of these riders. The question is, does she have it after such a long break from the world of racing? We'll have to see if that can be a reality. Again, Jessica Hamilton, though, as well as Moin Moin from the BRT racing team. So that's the situation within the ladies' races. They head into lap number 3. Back in with the men. Toward the front end of the group now, we can see rider sitting in 8th place currently, Philip Diner for the Canyon ZCT team. This Canyon ZCC is definitely focusing in on this community league, and Diner, it looks like perhaps is James Phillips as well, and Lionel Viosin, Alex West, 4 of the Canyon ZCC making this front group actually. So all of the riders for Canyon now in both of the races making the front group. So they've obviously shown up to win in the community league. The first couple of weeks, it's been a little bit, touch and go for that team to try and grab those wins here. But we'll see if all of I think they've been training a whole lot as well as communicating a lot more. They've been using their own personal Discord, team Discord, in order to communicate for the races. And I have a feeling with the way they've shown up to race today in both of these races, making these league groups and being instigators as well as playing it smart, I have a feeling that they're showing up to try and take the W's as well as maybe even a couple of the podium spots, if not the win out here today. So at the front of this race here, we did miss an attack here as we were a little bit earlier. Apologies on that. It looks like Fleeman, as they headed into lap number 3, went off the front here, and Dig Deep Coaching has shown up to take this W here. I believe Fleeman's also riding for Cryogen, if I'm not incorrect. We'll take a look if he has that. Yes, he does have that in the name. So Dig Deep Coaching, obviously, who he coaches for and works with on that side of things in business, but riding for Team Cryogen in the game. He's averaged 6.0 watts per kilogram for the duration of the race so far. He's got this 15-second gap. This is a threat. We saw this in KISS Super League on this specific course in round number 3, I believe it was, with Team Ribble going off the front here in the, with 1 lap to go. Now with 2 laps to go, though, Dan Fleeman here, this is a brave attack, and I have a feeling he's going to be wanting, really, really wanting a few riders to bridge the gap up to him. Hopefully, I think he would be hoping for that to be happening on the leg snapper. To try and hold off for 2 laps straight out here on this course is a huge ask. So we'll see if he can instigate anything from the group. And the thing is with this group and looking at what their tactic is going to be, a team that does not want this to stay away and wants a heads-up sprint may just close it down together, put the work in together to try and close it down. It might be confident that it's just going to come back and not waste too much energy at this point. But if there is a team that wants to get involved in a breakaway, they may be sending a rider or two off the front with 9, 10 watts per kilogram. You can't just sit, if you want to get involved in a breakaway, you cannot just sit on the front at 4 to 5 watts per kilogram in a Zwift race. All that's going to happen is that the group is just going to slowly use their blob mechanics, the blob mechanics that a lot of the community does call it, about how fast the group does travel out on course. And what's going to end up happening there is that the group is just going to slowly whittle away at that break. So if you want to get involved in the break and you want to really see it establish itself and get away and increase its lead, you got to put a few riders into it to work together with the other riders. Eventually, Fleeman is going to tire out and not be able to hold on to this. Looking forward here at the front end of this group. The chase is going to be on to bring Fleeman back. Fleeman's able to hold down a solid 7 to 8, but West here now up into 12 watts per kilogram. The question is, will West be able to break the rest of the riders around him, going over the top of the leg snapper for the third time? Fleeman now 7, 8 watts per kilogram. We'll see if he can bring that up a little bit. He might be in a little bit of temperance on what he's putting out here, or perhaps that's all that's left. He will come over the top just ahead of West. And will this group splinter now if they do grab onto the back end of this attack here? Interesting to see, as there's going to be innovation on the front there with Brownland as well as Lindsay. Messineo going there as well. Devola is there from Belgium. It's going to be for the BZR team. Dempster from Draft just a little bit behind, but it is a 3-second gap now. Brandland, Dig Deep coaching with Fleeman, innovation with Lindsay. That's a group of 3, and these are 2 riders that could really make something happen. That's Lindsay here from Innovation. He's got a solid TT. Brandland's got an amazing power output there, and Fleeman obviously is the one that put this breakdown and took the risk, and this could work. Cryogen, though, with Jay White, maybe not the move to go to the front there with 5-5, and the pack comes right on back. And that looked like perhaps a little bit of a accident maybe on the front there from Jay White. Maybe he just knew it was coming back either way. But a lot of times you don't realize the kind of speed you are bringing into the front end of the group. A lot of times riders do just look at their watts per kilogram and compare it to those who are ahead. But the judgment on how much speed you are taking to the front of the pack, that's what actually matters. The watts per kilogram matter to produce the speed, and it will give you an idea of how quickly you can close down the gap to somebody else that's up ahead. But when you start dealing with the pack dynamics and the speed of the pack, it has more to do with whether or not you're bringing speed to the front end of a pack that is increasing the speed of the pack overall. Every time that you do make your way to the front, your speed on the front end of that pack then gets given to everybody else, and it kind of starts to compound as people come around you, especially on downhill situations like that. And without that physical feedback that we usually get in real life to know what you're doing with the speed of the avatar, a lot of times riders can accidentally close down gaps they did not mean to, especially in team tactical situations. Not sure that's what happened there, as it might have just been closing down either way. It looked like regardless of what the Cryogen team was doing there, it was most likely going to be said and done. It was a valiant attack from Fleeman on the start of lap number 3, but was closed down quickly up and over the top of the leg snapper by, looked like Alex West as well as a few other riders. I believe it was Diner that was involved in that close down as well. Canyon there closing, keeping things on a tight leash. Now, speaking of Canyon, I did just notice that we also do have Steve Young in here. Steve Young absolutely demolishing the national championship sprint this past weekend for the UK, taking down that win and most likely punching his ticket into the live final for the, because that was a qualifying race this weekend. The only one that was a qualifying race, that was the UK national championship qualifier. So that was an amazing sprint for him this past weekend, taking down the win on the day. We'll have to see if he's able to repeat that, as we do see Cryogen, though, showing up with merit here. Up into that 8 watts per kilogram, does get another gap here, and it looks like they are really putting their chips into the basket for a breakaway to happen here. Merritt now following up after Fleeman. It's almost a counter attack, a similar attack that we saw, I believe that we saw from Fleeman at the same spot as the last lap here. So Merritt, 2-second gap, 6 watts per kilogram. That's what he's going to need to hold for quite a while, but that Draft are not having it. It looks like Sobrara here now from the Draft team. Lindsay now as well, 6 watts per kilogram. And they're doing the kind of thing we were talking about there just a moment ago. Not really that interested in allowing the break to happen. Just slowly grinding away at the distance between themselves and the rider up ahead. That time just slowly coming down as they put out 4 to 5, maybe 6 watts per kilogram on the front. That's all they're going to need to do in order to shut down an attack, even into 6, 7 watts per kilogram by the rider up ahead. It's not just about the watts per kilogram, as you can see here. It has to be about the speed, and the speed being brought to the front of the pack, just be into that 4 to 5, and it will close it right on down. So unless somebody else goes along with the Cryogen, or 2 or 3 or teams get organized here, we may just have a sprint finish. But Cameron Jeffers here now, coming from the Wahoo Cycling Hub team, makes his way to the front. Been fairly quiet up to this point. I have a feeling we might start seeing these last lap attacks as we head into the final lap for the men's race here, open/men's race here, out on the KISS Community League race number 3 on the Innsbruck Ring. Who's going to take it down here, as we do see at the front now, Innovation starting to make their way to the front here. Lindsay's there now, it looks like, as well. Innovation definitely one of the threats here on the day. Back in with the women's race quickly, though, as they are going to be starting the next time up on the top of the leg snapper, and it looks like it's going to be Eklund is going to be instigating here from the Canyon team, but Hansen from Innovation right alongside Hamilton. Hamilton, the instigator last lap as well, really wants to break things apart, it looks like, here on this leg snapper each lap here. Up in the 172, 173 beats per minute. Hansen following closely on the wheel there, as you can see. Right in front of that rider will be Eklund. Then Buchholz there as well. Canyon still involved with all their riders. And now at the back of this pack, it's going to be Eklund there following closely. On the front, though, it looks like, was there a dropout there? Is that rider goes back? Oh, no, that's actually our gameplay there. But Hamilton now 6.0 watts per kilogram. Whitelaw now toward the front, it looks like here. Falk from Canyon, Bering all still with it. Nobody able to really break this pack apart just yet. Hamilton maybe fade climbing, actually, is what maybe the tactic is, as we did see a monstrous attack up into that 8-9 watts per kilogram, but it looks like that was just to make sure that she didn't get dropped off on the top end of the leg snapper, but it doesn't look like it's playing out too well. We do see Rachel Elliott has fallen off pace with the main group, so no TTing away for her today. She is holding on to 11th place still, just barely crawling her way back here. It's going to be Hamilton from the BRT. And it looks like the fade climbing there was just working out for her. Eklund there with a 9 watt per kilogram kick there real quickly. Wasn't sure if that was an attack or not. Bering here now making sure she's just grabbing on. It looks like that's just to make sure that the pack does not get away from them, as they're going to start heading into their final lap here in just a moment. Hamilton firing herself on the front end again after clawing her way back to that pack. Hubach and Moin calming things down as this pack starts to settle down on the downhill, 1.8 watts per kilogram or so. Looks like this might be ended up in a sprint situation again, unless we see a last lap attack here from any of the riders. Rachel Elliott, 5.6 watts per kilogram, only 8 seconds back. If any rider can close this down and bring back a group like the one up ahead, it will be Rachel Elliott. Everybody go ahead and log in. Give this legend of a rider a ride on, as she's out here for the KRT team here. The director sportif for the women's side of the KSL All-Stars, too. Out here showing that she's got something for the community league for the wattage out on her bike here today. So Hubach then, Whitelaw toward the front, starting to take over a little bit. No, calming things down, actually. It looks like Eklund here now, 3.5 watts per kilogram. Everybody's thinking about going into the final lap. So back in with the Cryogen team. Again, instigating with, we did see White with a little bit of attack there just a moment ago. They get a tiny gap sitting in second place here right now, as you can see. I believe I saw a moment ago Fleeman off the front, but I wonder if there was perhaps some sort of a network situation there for a second. But no, here's Fleeman actually, 4.3 watts per kilogram. So it looks like all back together, but Cryogen has been trying every move that they could so far to try and break this apart. But look at this pack. I mean, this is a serious pack to deal with here coming into a sprint situation, and it is a big risk having this many riders involved in the final sprint. So they're going to want to try and break things apart. I have a feeling we're going to see the likes of the All-Stars, the ZCC Canyon team, I think, is going to be out there. It looks like Cryogen's got plenty of firepower out there today. Draft, I have a feeling, is going to be out there mainly on the follow rather than the instigation. Storm Bay, watch out for the ECT rider there, Fusion ECT rider, who does also have a serious sprint, maybe one to be watching out for as well. So let's start hearing your predictions as we head into the final time on the leg snapper for the men's side of things. Love to hear them. as we are seeing all kinds of chatter actually over at the Facebook feed. As you do bring in your predictions, I will bring them on up. I'd love to hear who you think is going to take the W as we head in to the final Ks. Last time up on the top of the Lake Snapper. Also, how is it going to play out here? Love to hear from the community. How do you think it's going to work out? Well, you guys can take up Greg's spot on the broadcast out here today as poor Greg Leo sitting at home a little bit sick for those of you who are just tuning in. We are seeing a little bit of prediction here coming from Kitten Little Bits here over at the Twitch channel, saying that he thinks on the men's side of things, West, which is a great prediction. West has been absolutely dominant lately, especially in sprint situations. We saw him just nipped at the line yesterday by Ian Bibby from Madison Genesis in the KISS Super League by less than a thousandth of a second. Actually, it was like 9 thousandths of. It was some sort of crazy difference between them in the KISS Super League yesterday. So I think that's a great prediction there, as we do see an attack here coming from another Cryogen rider. It is going to be Merritt again off the front into those orange numbers as they head into the final time over the top of the Leg Snapper. We'll be heading back to your predictions in just a moment as we come up and over the top of the Leg Snapper for the final time. White here now on an interesting situation, 5'9" on the front. This is not going to help Merritt out one bit. This is only going to close things down for Merritt. White is going to need to throw down into orange numbers if he wants to do something with this. This is not making things difficult either for anybody behind. Everybody behind here does get a solid draft at this point. They can hang out at about 3.2 watts per kilogram or so. So Cryogen maybe trying to just make things difficult, but it doesn't look like it's going to do anything up against the pack here. Will he have a counter before we head into the proper climb here? McLeod now, it looks like, trying to make his way to the front, but no, it's going to be Lindsay and Bronland here from Innovation, who have been serious instigators. Here comes a feather power up, though, from Dutch Racing on the front. There's going to be De Haan now out of the Netherlands. And then Vjossen, he has been very quiet so far. Vjossen here out of Belgium. Lionel for Canyons ECC, Fallon Fleeman. There goes the Dutch Racing rider. Then Bronland, the Poison Dart Frogs there as well up in the 14 watts per kilogram. And if they do not want a sprint finish, they're going to have to make it happen now. The break is there. It's 1 second gap to Diavola that out of Belgium as well. And Young there following it up. Canyon, though, just going to follow the wheels because they're going to want to let their rider go up ahead, Lionel Vjossen, and get in a break if they can and let the chips fall for the final sprint amongst that break. But it is Cryogen again on the front, but the Poison Dart with the gap over 3 seconds immediately as he comes over the top of this. Messineo, 7-8 watts per kilogram. Fleeman trying to close it down. This may be the race if he can hold on to this. Goes into 10 watts per kilogram again. 600 watts coming from this rider now. 196 beats per minute. But it looks like Brownland on the front here. All they got to do is about 7 watts per kilogram in rotation over and over again to bring that back. I mean, all you got to do. But there is a reality as you sit in, you can save up at about 4 to 5 and then come to the front at 7. If they stay organized, they can work together against the Poison Dart here. Will they be able to make it happen? He's almost at max heart rate at this point, 1.9. He knows it's not going anywhere. Philip Diner here from Canyon closes it right on down. And that's kind of the workhorse, actually, for that team. Diner's got a serious TT, much more of a ruler out there. And I'd be watching out, though, now for Canyon, as they're very set up with a lot of riders involved still in this break. Huge wash just getting thrown down over the top of that, over the top of the Innsbruck Ring Leg Snapper for the final time in the men's race. So looking through some more of the predictions here. Lots of them were coming in here. We'll get in. We've got like 3 pages of predictions actually coming through. So loving all of them here. Kitten and Bits here also coming through. Eklund for the women's side of things. So we also see my man, it looks like Alex West for Oliver Peck over there. So Zim for the win. We're hearing from Alan Lowe. We're also seeing a couple of more here. Can you give us how many miles Chaos? We are into the final Ks, actually. Sorry we don't have a Ks across the screen there. We'll try and get that in there for you on the community streams more often here. Zwift Cyclist lets us know that he thinks it's going to be Canyon. Go Cam Jeffs here coming from Chris Bayless now. We're hearing Young from Looker. Lots of predictions here. Loving them all. Let us know, you guys. Keep them on coming, and we'll see if you were right in the end. Anybody who predicts the correct racer, we'll make sure we'll highlight those who do if we can get through all the pages of them here as they come on in. But as they do come in, we definitely want to watch the final K here as we still have so many riders involved in this group. They were not able to break it apart. So much strength here. Vjossen here goes from way out, though. This is an attack from about a K to go at 186 speed sprint. They've caught everybody off guard. Viassen here, amazing Viassen here out of Belgium for Canyon team, and the rest of the Canyon riders are just going to sit in and allow themselves to be pulled up to the line because they still got the Serpent. They still got Steve Young. They still got Alex West sitting in. So all Lionel has to do is push the pace. It's almost like a lead out to loosen up the legs of the other riders here. Cryogen looking to chase it down. 7.0 watts per kilogram. Dutch Racing here, it looks like as well on the front there. 3 seconds is the difference there. This might be it here for Viassen, but I don't know if he's going to be able to make it happen here because this is too much, it looks like, to hold on to as he holds on to 7 watts per kilogram. The break is coming right on back as we head into the final 500 meters. Here come the Aero power-ups. The Poison Dart now making his way to the front with his. Here comes Alex West, though. That's the main prediction for most of them. But Zimmerman with 17 watts per kilogram. Adam Zimmerman looking for some revenge after losing this past week in the U.S. National Championship. He's looking to take down a win here today. It's been a while since we've seen Zimmerman grab the top spot on the podium. And Adam Zimmerman coming out of Colorado looks like he might be able to make it happen. But Alex West shows us he's coming from the Zwift Academy Dream Team, but coming through at the last moment. Brandland barely snips it at the line. Innovation, killing it. It looks like it was Canyon for a 1-2 perhaps. What an amazing sprint there from Alex West. But no, Brandland kicks in the last 100 meters. Perfectly timed, actually, there coming from Brandland. We'll have to wait and see what the official results come through with. But amazing result all around for them. We'll get the replay after the finish of the women's race here. Back in with the women's race, though, here as we have one to go. And it looks like a lot of holding hands now between the riders here in the women's race, actually. Let's go ahead and see also what the results are in just a moment here as we head into the final time over the leg snapper. It's going to be just a moment before they hit it so we can see what kind of predictions all of you had out there today. Lots of chatter here coming on through here. Alex Rybeck saying West. It was almost, did we have anybody say Brandland? And we're seeing Darren Holmes. Nice prediction there coming from Darren Holmes, as that was definitely what ended up going down here. So Sam Brandland, go Aliens, coming from him. Nice tack there coming from Brooks there. Sam Bike, West Young. Kyle Augustine is letting us know, it looks like. Sam Bike, believe it, we're hearing from, it looks like, the Twitch channel as well. Anybody else coming up with Sam Bike as we headed into that final there? The Willies have not started the leg snapper just yet. There was a little bit of attack there for a moment, but it looks like there were only a few that actually were going for the prediction on the Sam Bike there. But Brandland, that was quite the attack there at the last moment from that rider from Innovation. So West almost able to pull it off there, maybe just a little bit early perhaps. If he would have kicked with the kind of, there really is a serious drafting technique out there in the world of Zwift racing. Being able to hold on to a wheel right to the last moment and kick through with there's a huge amount of speed that can be gained in that final 100 meters if you are able to kick 5 watts per kilogram extra into that 15 to 17 that we did see, I believe, there for a moment. We saw that from Zimmerman, but it came maybe just a little too early. A few riders were able to grab onto the wheel there from Zimmerman. I thought Zimmerman was going to make it happen, but in the end, West had a kick and then followed very closely up by Brandland there. Back in with the women, though. Here we go with Eklund up toward the front. Let's start hearing the predictions on the women's side of things. Natalie Eklund, Canyon now, with on the wheel there. Actually, we do see, is that Rachel Elliott? We said if anybody could do it, Rachel Elliott could. And look at this. She claws her way back into the group here. But will she be able to have the kind of effort that can get away from a group like this? I'm not sure that's going to happen. As already being off the back, most likely not going to have the firepower to make a break away from this group. I'm not sure Rachel has the kind of kick to win a sprint up against the likes of Behring or Regan Motel here. Buchholz also has an amazing sprint. I believe Buchholz won in the preliminary results so far. Eva was able to take down the German National Championship this past weekend. From what I saw in the live stream, she was number 1 across the line. The official results are not out from Zwift as of yet, but Buchholz seems to have quite the kick to the line, so I'll be watching out for her. Hubach as well, though, out there, obviously able to sprint up against 2020 Pro Cycling. So in the women's side of things with Hubach, she's one of the strongest riders we've seen out on Zwift in the sprint as well, taking down some of the pros in her sprint. So definitely one to watch out for as well. Whitelaw here from the All-Stars now, 6.9 watts per kilogram. Hansen sitting on the front. As you can see, Eklund here now bringing back that attack here. There is a little bit of a gap here. Will it be shut down? Bearing from the All-Stars there, 6.8. Looks like she will be able to do so. It is strung out. Is the elastic going to snap in the back here with Kristen Falk and Rachel Elliott just trying to hang on? Hubach's in the back there, but it looks like she most likely be dragged right on up by herself, actually. Hubach doing the work there to close that right on down. Eklund now on the front alongside Whitelaw. Trading places, calming down very quickly there just to make sure they don't waste any energy as they head into the final sprint here. It does look like the KRT rider, though, Elliott, able to hang on all the way through that climb up and over the top of the leg snap. But Rachel Elliott, 5.6 watts per kilogram. Where is this energy coming from? From Rachel Elliott, the legend, making the final group in the KISS Community League here, coming into the final sprint. Will Elliott be able to throw down? Absolutely amazing to see here. If I want to, it would be quite the story if it ends up with Elliott taking the W out here today in the Community League. And I think there would be a lot of encouragement out there to her today. But she's got some of the really, really strong upstarts and in and amongst this group. Rachel Elliott being around since the beta days, one of the most successful as well as well-known, and probably one of the women with the most races out there in the world of Zwift, and winning a lot of the live events that have taken place. So, but then again, there is a lot of young blood out here looking to take down the W here today. So we'll see how it ends up happening. Here comes Hubach here, maybe not looking for a sprint. 10 watts per kilogram from her innovation with a very early aero power-up. This is a full-in. This is an all-in move. Chips are all on the table. River cards, we're almost to the river card at this point. We've seen the turn, and Hubach now heading into this has put all of her chips into the table and said, look, I'm all in. Let's see what you got. Bearing now 7 seconds back, not chasing it. Elliott now 6.3 watts per kilogram, looking to work for who? Herself, because there's no other KRT riders here. But being the DS of the All-Stars team, perhaps working for her teammates, her team members, with Bearing in here as well as Whitelaw here. Now it gets a little bit interesting as will Elliott put the work in here to close this down. It is a 15-second gap. This might be just done. 15, 16 seconds. We've got a K&a-half to go. Hubach off the front now. We're already into the final stretch, and Hubach's got 16 seconds. Nobody's responding. Hubach's got it. The former Danish national champion is just gone, and they're not going anyway. Louis Hubach here now walking away with this one. 17 seconds. The BRT rider goes to the front, only 4.9 watts per kilogram. Will the sprint be enough to close this down? She's still got 6, and she's all in, just holding on, TTing to the line here. 5.8 watts per kilogram, well over threshold. Everything she's got to throw it down. Rachel Elliott just slows right on down, says, nope, not chasing. Now she pushes into 5.4 watts per kilogram. We're going to have to see some aero power-ups and a sprint opening up very early to bring this back, but they're not responding. She has caught all the riders completely off guards. They all looked at each other and said, I'm not chasing. You going to do it? You going to do it? And Canyon's got so many in here, and they just let it go with Ring Immortal. Whitelaw sees that now or never, kicks into 16 watts per kilogram. With an aero power-up. There's still time to bring it back here. She's going to have to put it all into the pedals here, though, up into those 8 watts per kilogram, all the way to the line. It's 15 seconds. Closing quickly. We're seeing 53 kilometers per hour here. Whitelaw versus Hubach now. It looks like 44 kilometers per hour. Whitelaw coming on with 53. She's got a solid almost 10 kilometers per hour difference here. 10 seconds is the difference. Whitelaw still coming on. Rachel Elliott with the lead out here, but is it going to work out? I'm not sure. Whitelaw still closing down. 9 seconds. Hubach looks to be holding this off. It's a drafty power-up she picked up as she came through the sprint banner. It's not going to do anything for her unless Whitelaw comes around, but at least it's something in her field of vision that says I got some sort of benefit, and she pulls it off with that attack. Coming through with a K to go. Hubach followed up by Whitelaw. It looks like if Whitelaw can hold on is the question, though. As the riders come through, it will be Whitelaw, followed up by Hansen. And what in a last-moment attack throws it down and is able to take the W there in the KISS Community League. Hubach showing us that she's got the power not just for a sprint, but with an, I'll just go with a K to go. No big deal whatsoever. I've got this, and Innovation takes down another one here. That's both a men's and women's side of things here. W and a W between the two. Let's take a quick look at the replays here, as it looks like in the men's side of things, we do have the results coming on through, and we are seeing Sandbike there from Innovation, 5.2 watts per kilogram for the duration there. It was a 0.12 second difference between the riders at the line. But for the men's side, here is the replays. You do see Zimmerman with that attack, 12 watts per kilogram coming from him. He was up until like 15 even at one point, I believe, as he did get this little bit of gap. I saw the gaps open up. I saw the arrow power up. I thought that it was all said and done because of this early attack. But now you do see coming through Messineo leading things out. And I thought Messineo, with the kind of punch that he has, was going to make it happen. But Alex West, 13 watts per kilogram, as you can see, at the last moment. Kicks, but no, it was going to be Brandlin with 17, able to come through past Zimmerman. Zimmerman even gets overtaken, so it might have been a little bit too early there as he works his way backwards through the pack as Diner and West, as well as Brandlin, take over those top spots. So it is Canyon ZCC with the second and third. Unable to take down Innovation, though, on the day. Amazing result there for all three of the riders, though. Canyon ZCC still with 2 spots on the podium, but Innovation taking down the first spot. Now, Innovation, though, also, it looks like, in the women's side of things, amazing result here for them as they made their way to the line. We'll have to see if I can bring in the replay for the ladies here. As here we go. This should be the final moments here. Now here comes Hubach now across the line as she made an amazing attack, as well as it looks like Whitelaw there right behind her. Only about 7 seconds. Whitelaw with a really early attack there. Also trying to close that right on down. Unable to close it down soon enough, but able to just hold off Hansen for Innovation there. So those were pretty obvious time gaps there. I believe that's going to be the official results as they came across the line. We are waiting for the results to populate here from the women's only. In just a moment, we'll go ahead and read them through in just a second here, let everybody know. Let me go take a quick look at all your predictions, though, as we came to the line here. I believe we did have quite a few for the women's side of things. Puzzling finish, Chupi. That was, Chupi, I have to agree with you there. That was interesting. 16 seconds in no time. Barco Morsado is letting us know. Yeah, I mean, you guys, that was really risky. That was so risky, but it really paid off there on the women's side of things for Hubach, the Danish rider. Absolutely amazing. Luis Hubach's experienced enough to keep this. I'm hearing from Raymond Leo. Absolutely. Huge watts coming from that rider, and amazing, very well timed, and very experienced actually. Great job there for her. Revenge for Claudia Bearing is my prediction. Alan, I thought Claudia was going to have it, but I think there was a little bit of, I think some of the riders were a little bit timid to try and thought it was just going to come back, that it wasn't going to open up that quickly here. We are seeing Lars Hughesball here saying that Hubach's got this, and looks like you were absolutely correct there. Is the race over? It's still going for me, Alan Dempsey. Are you paying attention, Alan? Oh, I forgot. You ride triathlon, like weird setups like this. So it's okay. You'll figure it out, though, Alan. You'll get it. So, Alan, good to see you in the chat here as always. So well done to the ladies for sure, Amy. Great to see. Way too tired to race. I don't know how people race more than once a week. I was wondering about that, Claudia. It's good to see you in the chat, though. That's for sure. And absolutely great job out there today. I know that it was a hard race yesterday as well as over the weekend. So amazing job out there jumping into it again. And we're looking forward to the rest of the KISS Super League 2 days ago, KISS Super League this coming Tuesday. So for those of you who are just tuning in, that was the KISS Community League race number 3. Amazing results all around. Innovation taking down it looks like the top 2 spots, I believe, for the men's and the women's. Yep, it was. And as well as the top 2 spots in the women's side of things, as Vicky Whitelaw takes down second place, followed up by Lauren Van Regenmotel. I think that's her best result so far in the KISS Community League and putting Canyon on the map on the women's side of things. So great job to Laura out there. I believe she is also live streaming, if I'm not incorrect. Innovation, though, taking on that 4th spot, as well as Natalie Eklund there for 5th. Claudia Barron brings it in for 6th place, I believe, here amongst the riders. So that's the shout-outs on the side of the women's side of things for the results here. Sandbike, out there for innovation takes on the win in the men's. Alex West, Philip Diner, Leandro Messinillo rounded out 4th, Sam Lindsay, Adam Zimmerman for 6th, Dan Fleeman for 7th after being most likely the most aggressive rider on the day. I'll give that unofficially to Dan Fleeman. Stevie Young there thought he'd take down today with that sprint, but unable to do so. Interesting to see. Maybe not the best day in the sprint for him out on this course. I think the downhill sprint that we saw in the national championships definitely suits Stevie Young a little bit better. Nikki H. and Soren Bay rounding out the top 10. Good to see Fusion ECT out there today in the men's race. All right, next up on Zwift Community Live. Tomorrow we're going to be doing a little bit of a web show on the drops, talking Zwiftcraft, a new term that we're going to be chatting a little bit more about perhaps in the coming months and years, perhaps if it does end up developing. But with the drops and being able to manipulate your setup more and more and more, perhaps we will see more gaming of the game side of things with Zwift. Also, obviously, the KISS Super League is going on with the men's and the ladies. The women's are happening on Tuesdays as well as the men's on Wednesdays. If you want to know anytime that we will go live, though, here on Zwift Community Live or on the Zwift official pages with the KISS Super League, hit the follow buttons wherever you are watching. We're live on Mixer. We're live on Twitch. We are live on YouTube as well as Facebook. Turn on your follower notifications. We'll be back tomorrow, though, obviously, with that web show. I think we'll have Greg back as long as the flu backs off a little bit for Mr. Greg Leal. And as always, everybody, great job to all the racers out there. That was really amazing, amazing racing out there by everybody. Great job to KISS and the community. Thanks a lot to all the viewers for hanging out. I'm Nathan Guerra coming at you from Zwift Community Live. As always, everybody, big old ride on.
I'm in the lava? Wait, I am in the lava. Hi, lava. I don't know lava. Let me press this. Okay, watch. That's so much people. Wait, you can go through them. You're in the cave lava. Great India. No,